Hey guys, my name is Angel Ortiz. This is my 1991 Nissan 240SX and I'm from Tampa, Florida. I think the S chassis market right now in 2021, the prices are kind of outrageous. I can't say I didn't see it coming though. I mean, these cars have always been sought after. I think now that people are getting older, kids that are younger, they're kind of seeing them in the video games, movies. That's really where they're wanting to get into them, like when we were into old 90s and 80s cars when we were kids. So those things are skyrocket high. I mean, you can't even get an 86 anymore or even see them anymore. 85 Mazda RX-7s are hard to find. All those classic cars are super expensive, 240Zs, and they're like rust buckets. Same thing's just happening with these now. So the prices they're scoring super high. You can't even get a shell running anymore for like less than 5, which is kind of sad. But this particular one, I got lucky. Got it maybe, I want to say 6 or 7 years ago now, as a straight trade for my first car when I was 19. So when I got this car stock, it actually wasn't, compared to what it is now, or compared to what you see now with these cars, it actually wasn't that bad. Back then I thought it was trash. I mean, it had faded red paint, black headlights. The headlights didn't work. They had the taped X's, like if you were freaking drifting at Ibisu or something like that. Had different color fenders. It was on 19s or something, some knockoff 19-inch wheels on stock suspension. It was automatic, red K hatch. It's a 5-speed SR swap now. But I guess back then that was considered, well, for nowadays it was considered good. Back then I thought it was bad. Now you can't even get a single colored hatch or single colored 240 for free or less than $1,000. In high school, my brother used to pick me up in 240s all the time. I used to barely fit in the car. I mean, I used to lay down in the hatchback. That's usually how I got picked up from school, me and my friend. And that kind of just got my love with them. I got stuck with a USDM one. I always wanted a JDM one. So I kind of made a clone the best I could. I mean, I got this car when I was 19, so I didn't really have money. I was in college, part-time job, like most people are when they first get into like their little hoopty little car. So I kind of built into that. As I got older, I could have probably got a JDM one, but I just didn't justify paying, you know, that 9 to 10 grand to import a car, which is cheap nowadays. So if you're getting into these nowadays with the prices skyrocketing and everything, in America they came with a single cam in the pre-90 years and they came with a dual cam later on, which is technically their truck motor. In Japan, they actually came, because remember, there's a 180 SX, not a 240 SX, they came with a CA 1.8. Those are the older models, and then eventually, these puppies got the 2.0, the SR20, which is what you'll see in a lot of the newer cars. It's kind of like, man, it's like B series and K series. Like, an SR is the Nissan Silvia / 180 SX motor. Like, that is a JDM fanboy motor. With that, like, you know, finding all those different parts, if you can't find the JDM parts, which a lot of people end up making their own or figuring it out, because I switched from a K, it was actually pretty easy to kind of swap in. The motor mounts are the same. The clutch fans, for the most part, are the same. The fan clutch is actually a K fan clutch. I think there's probably a bit of like difference this way where it might hit or anything. Power steering pumps are the same. Got to run a different fitting for some of them, but they are the same. So I have a K power steering pump, K clutch fan. Most of the parts are actually fit right in. From being an automatic car, I actually had to drill the holes with the silhouette for the clutch master and all that stuff. It's there, man. You just got to drill them out. The holes for the intercooler piping, factory, they're there. Factory, this car comes with a side mount SR. The holes are there for it. You just got to kind of cut the battery tray and it fits right in. So for the most part, it's pretty easy to swap in. I think just figuring out all the little tricks and stuff of getting those accessory parts is where it kind of gets tricky. There's so many companies out that make different parts for it now, so it's a lot easier. But I think back in like early 2000s or even like 2012, 2013, when I started really messing with these, that stuff wasn't out there. Wiring specialties, they were around, but their stuff was either expensive or not, you know, where they're at now. Now you can get a harness swap for anything. I'd definitely say there are pros and cons of having a USDM versus a JDM car. I think a big selling point of why I went with the SR is because the car came with it in Japan, so it was pretty easy to swap over. That's why I wanted to do it. A lot of the issues I had was, even though parts are interchangeable when they move, they don't fit the same on a left-hand drive to a right-hand drive car. So you kind of run into those issues. A big issue is with these, if you're familiar with the JC chassis, it's kind of easier. The turbos, the hot side of the engine is next to your brakes. A big issues I had with this, even daily driving it, because I used to daily drive it all the time, was my brakes would literally melt. I had a heat shield and I had a tubular manifold. I went back to a stock one because my brakes would melt. I'd have my pedal and it would literally just go to the ground. Same with my clutch setup. So those little issues, I didn't, it's my first turbo car, I didn't know much. I had to fix those issues. If it was, right-hand drive or came with it from the get-go, I wouldn't have to deal with that as much. They already kind of figured out those problems. I would definitely say if you have the funds and you're gonna end up making one of these, you can get one, a JDM one. They're a dime a dozen. They might be a little harder to find. You gotta pay that extra money, but finding these parts nowadays, it's a lot harder than finding a JDM car. Even though I'm talking about, like, you guys may know what it is, I'll explain what it is. So it's a Type X replica car, I guess you could say. It's got a full Type X kit, which is, so the car is in Japan. They came as a 180SX. Some of the later models, don't quote me on this, I might be wrong. So RPS 13s were kind of like their premium option. They came either with the Type X or kooky front bumper and no lip or side skirts or taillights. Then they had other options where they came with the side skirts, they came with the taillights, they came with the wing, etc. And I believe 98 and up, because they made these cars in 2001, only until this chassis until 93 here. They came with everything, and the Type X lip is like the premium option. So it came with the Type X lip, side skirts, the wing, taillights, power folding mirrors, digital climate control. I'm not sure about the radio. I know most radios and these are analog. I don't think they came with an analog radio in Japan. They probably came with a digital radio. The moonroof, obviously. And then there's a piece on this car that I actually got to get. It's in Kevlar, but it actually says RPS 13, which is kind of showcasing that limited model. And that's pretty much what this is, the replica of. So I kind of just, pieced it together over the years. The bumper's brand new from Nismo. Back then, you could buy them pretty cheap. You just get them shipped to your house from California. You can't really do it anymore, they're discontinued. You used to be able to get the hoods brand new, they're discontinued. The fenders are still available, but they don't ship them because they chip. They only put them in a cardboard box. This is probably my 4th set of fenders I've had on this car. It's got legit Nismo LMGT4s. Those are pretty hard to find. These wheels actually came factory on some of their race cars back in the day. Technically, I have a rear set in the front, so they're wider. And then the rears are an 18, so it's a staggered setup. It's a fully built SR, built bottom end, ARP everything. I mean, it's a cookie cutter build, but it gets the job done. Hoping to make 350 on it. We'll see what it does. 2871 turbo, external wastegate through the hood. Probably gonna change. HTS, filter, GK Tech everything, Tomei everything. A couple Greddy bits. So, it's your typical JDM fanboy car. If you can't get one, might as well fake it till you make it. So a big question I get asked is like, if I were to do it again, or how I stuck with one 240 for so long. If you meet a lot of 240 people, they've gone through like 4 or 5 of them. I've had one my entire life. Personally, I wouldn't do it all over again unless I get a JDM one, because the JDM one has everything I did to it. It has the motor. I'd have to get the kit. It comes with those extra goodies like it comes with power mirrors, man. That's cool as hell. Digital climate control. To hook that up in here, it's a lot of work. So this doesn't come with that. I'm still with my old school climate control. It's not hooked up, but it's there. So, but yeah, man, if I had to recommend it, I recommend probably, if you're getting into them now, unless you find a really good deal and it's a good foundation, just get a Japanese one. They're already done. And then you can kind of do your bits on it. Shout out to my brother's shop, Ortiz Garage. You can see some of the stuff we did with this. His cool one-off car you'll never see. It's got a right-hand drive chassis, Carmen Ghia, with a 1.8 20-valve Volkswagen engine. Kind of different. I mean, nobody really runs with that. Shout out to RB Power Garage and RB Power. Those are the guys and homies over in Sarasota. They've got some cool stuff. Shout out to, I guess, yeah, my friends that have helped me with this. I mean, like I said, everything we've done here, I've taken it to my friends' shops, but it's never really been like, hey, here's my money, go do some stuff. I've done it mostly all here in-house. So you can follow me at S13.Ortiz with 3 Z's. That's just because the first 2 were taken. So thanks, guys.